and I just never wanted to be that person that cries on camera. So I'm telling you guys this now. If I start crying, I'm going to cut it out of the video. Do you understand? Like, I'm gonna edit it out. What's up, you guys? It's your girl Dominique, and I'm back with another video. You guys, please excuse the TV in the background. That is my daughter who's watching TV. She's sitting right here. Well, she's not really even watching TV. I just have it on for her. Anyways, you guys, so today I am going to be sharing my testimony with you. Quite honestly, I was writing things out that I wanted to make sure, you know, like talking points and things that I wanted to make sure that I talked about during this video, you know, just so that I wouldn't miss anything. And after writing everything out, I feel like God has done so much in my life that I'm probably gonna have to make this a series, quite honestly. So with that being said, this may potentially be a part 1. I don't know, but yeah, at the end of the day, I'm probably just gonna have to do a series because, like I said, I just have so many testimonies, so much that God has been doing and has done in my life. Mind you, I'm 32 years old. If you don't know, I'm 32 years old, so I'm ready to take it back, like, as far as I can remember, because this relationship that I've had with God, of course, you know, God knows us before we are even born, but do we know God? You know, my relationship with God has kind of just been like this tug of war sort of thing. I've been supposed to do this video for a long time, and I've just kind of been putting it off. Like, if you follow me on my website, on my blog, sheisdominique.com, then you have already read some of my testimony probably before. But yeah, you've probably read my testimony before. If you haven't, make sure that you, I don't know which side is going to be on, but make sure that you go ahead and click the link up here, because I will leave that post there. But yeah, I just kind of been putting it off because I feel like, guys, I don't want to cry on camera, okay? Like, don't get me wrong, I share my life and I share my story, I share my testimony, and I do even share hard moments with you guys, but there's just something to me about being vulnerable on camera to the point where you like are crying that just doesn't sit well with me, and I just never wanted to be that person that cries on camera. So I'm telling you guys this now. If I start crying, I'm going to cut it out of the video. Do you understand? Like, I'm gonna edit it out. I hope that my story, basically the reason why I do share my story and share my testimony, is because, you know, like I said, God has done so much in my life, and one of the things that I've always wanted to do or strive to do is to help somebody else that may be going through something that I'm going through or that I have been through. And at the end of the day, honestly, that's how we help people. We help people by sharing our story. Not only do we help other people, but we also help ourselves. I'm not sure which Bible verse it is, so if I find the actual one, I'll put it up on the screen. And yeah, when we are able to get our story out and to tell our story and to, you know, and reveal our truth so that God's truth is revealed through us, we come to a place where we start to heal. You know, we that has really been a big part of my healing process, is just sharing my story. And so yeah, that's why I do it. Plus I feel like I've been called to share my story in a way that's gonna try to, like, that's gonna help other people. Come on, baby. Hey, you want to say hey to the people? You want to say hey to the people? Huh? Say hi. Say hi. Okay. I'm just here trying to be obedient in my calling at this point, because I feel like I've been running away from what it is that God has really called me to do, and I don't want to be in that place anymore. You know, I'm not perfect. I do have things that I need to work on. You know, nobody's perfect, but I can say that I've come to a place in my life where it looks completely different from what it used to be, and I can only be thankful for God for that, because like seriously guys, like my life was in shambles. You know, no matter how big or small our problems are, it's still something that we have to cope with, and God doesn't care about how big or small our problems are. You know, he cares about all of them. So I'll just go ahead and let's get into this video. I want to start with my religious background. Basically, my religious background is I pretty much have always grown up a Christian. I would say that we've always called ourselves Christians. We go to church. We pretty much used to go to church, not necessarily every weekend, but we definitely were going to church. I wouldn't necessarily say that I was like, you know, I wouldn't call myself like one of those like Christian girls or whatever, you know, but I definitely grew up as like a Christian. And I only say that because looking back, I feel like, you know, it's just a very lukewarm thing, you know, like you go to church on Sunday, holidays, whatever, and that's pretty much the gist of your Christian life. Like, I can't remember a time when I've seen us do like prayer outside of saying grace over food or something like that, or even Bible study. Like, these weren't things that we did in the home. But yeah, I definitely went to church. I loved going to church. That was pretty much like my growing up church life. My mom, though, she was a single mom. I didn't grow up with my dad in the home, and even though he was kind of in and out of my life, you know, I would definitely say that I had that like quintessential daddy issue, like daddy issues all the way around. Even though my dad wasn't very active in my life, I would definitely consider myself a daddy's girl, only because I always wanted to be with my dad. I looked like my dad. I really admired my father, and that's definitely a separate video because I've definitely had to go through a lot of healing with that relationship, to say that I definitely grew up with some daddy issues. And I also had some disconnect with my mom too, because even though I loved being with my mom, you know, as a child, at some point I did go through somewhat of like a rebellious phase, and that in turn kind of drew me away from my mom and just kind of made that relationship a little bit tense. I would say that rebellious phase started right after like 5th grade, going into 6th grade. Guys, I don't know what happened, but literally there was like a switch. I just started to want to hang out with older people. I started acting out in school. I was always a really good student in elementary school, and then I just started acting out, trying to be like class clown. I wasn't triangle, I was funny. But I just was acting out, being a class clown, and yeah, I don't know, I started getting in trouble like in 6th grade, and you know, like really getting in trouble to where like I was having detention, I was getting suspended. Like, these sort of things started happening to me, and they were not happening to me before. I want to say around this time too, like I said, I started hanging out with older people, and you know, wanting to have older friends or whatever. And so from there, I feel like that kind of opened the door for me to want to be getting attention from older guys, or older boys rather, just boys in general, because I would say that even though I was never really like a church girl, I definitely was always the one in the group of friends that I did have that was like, no, we shouldn't have sex, we should be waiting until marriage, or I don't want to kiss, or I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. Even though I wanted to be that person, I definitely started to give into peer pressure. It was just a lot. Like, I want to say in middle school was like when everything just kind of started going downhill for me. I started moving away, further away from God, moving further away from my parents. You know, like I kind of felt like I definitely was becoming more isolated during that time. I've been going through like bullying situations. I mean, I can really remember this one time where the kids in the class had locked me and another friend of mine out of the classroom, and they were all in the classroom yelling, like, it's a controversial word that is disrespectful to lesbians. So I hope YouTube doesn't count me for this. They were all yelling like dyke, dyke, dyke out the door. I wasn't really sure, you know, what that really meant per se, but I wasn't stupid, you know. But yeah, they were trying to say because me and this girl hung out all the time that we, you know, were doing stuff with each other. Mind you, I was in the 6th grade. Yeah, it was just bullying and having to go through that, having to deal with these daddy issues and wanting to like feel loved and all of these different things. Like I had to go through counseling. Like that was my first encounter with counseling during that time. It was just like, it was literally just like something, I don't know, like something really just switched in me and was just like good girl gone bad. And I think that was kind of when I first started dealing with like depression. I used to write in a journal. I've always written in a journal. Like I love writing. I love writing in a journal, a diary or whatever. And I've always just kind of been that person. At that time, like I really started getting into like writing poetry, and I had this notebook that I would keep, and my counselor would read it. Long story short, you know, the counselor was saying that I was depressed, and while I didn't necessarily have to be put on medicine for it, it definitely was something that I had to start. Like, I'm not saying that I had to start, but it was definitely something that started to come up more often in my life after that point. Like, I definitely would say that I had, you know, spurts of depression here and there. Deal with the things that I was going through at the time. I started hanging out with the wrong crowd and, you know, wanting to be cool because I was getting bullied. So I wanted to be cool, so I didn't get bullied anymore. I had a group of friends. I was about 12 when I was hanging out with these people, and these group of friends that I'm hanging with are like 14, 15. So they're actually in high school. Some of them are in high school already or getting ready to go to high school, and they were just kids from my neighborhood. So I started hanging out with them. I feel like from there was really big peer pressure to have sex. I mean, there was a lot of peer pressure there, and I gave into that. I ended up losing my virginity at 12. So yeah, I ended up losing my virginity at the age of 12 to an 18-year-old, like literally the day after I had gotten my period. And I felt like in that moment, I never really had the period conversation that I can remember with my mom. So for me, when I got my period, I thought that I was being punished. Like, literally, I thought that God was punishing me for what I had done for losing my virginity, because like I said, even though I wasn't like a church girl, that was definitely something that I've always like talked to God about or prayed about, like, you know, or promised myself, you know. Really, I'm promising God, but I didn't really know at the time, but promising myself, like, you know, I'm gonna be a virgin. I'm never gonna give away my virginity until I'm married. Somebody's learning how to crawl. I felt like I was being punished by God, because my cramps, when I did get cramps, like they were so bad. Like I was bleeding so much. I'm sorry guys if this is TMI, but this is what I went through. And like I said, I really just thought that I was being punished. I thought God was punishing me. So I've always, like, after that moment, I would say that that's when I really kind of just stopped going to church. I don't know, but definitely the dynamic between me and God changed. Like, I felt really guilty. I felt like I had let God down. I felt like I let myself down. I just was at a place where it was just like, I just felt so guilty and shameful for what I had done, and I felt like God didn't. Okay, so I had to take care of Empress real quick. Sorry about that, y'all. Yeah, I'm pretty much losing light at this point, so I just wanted to come outside and finish this video. I feel like I said before, I've been supposed to be doing this video for quite some time now, and I'm at the point now where I'm like, I have to get this out. I have to get it recorded. Like, nothing is going to stop me as my battery is dying right now. Like, see, the devil is working, devil is working. He does not want me to get the story out because he doesn't want people to get delivered, okay? But I'm really praying that my story can help to, you know, have somebody else seek Jesus to get deliverance like I did. Let me go change my battery and I'll be right back. Where was I? I would say that because of the daddy issues that I had been dealing with, just wanting to feel loved, became very promiscuous, I would say. I just wanted to have that attention again. Before I lost my virginity, it wasn't like I didn't have, like, you know, like small boyfriends or you know, like friends like that were guys that I would talk to on the phone or, you know, flirt with in school and stuff like that. Like, yeah, we all have that little like puppy love sort of thing, but I was just like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna be, you know, I don't want to have sex or anything like that. So after I did finally lose my virginity, I felt like because guys were more interested in me when I did want to, you know, give into that's what I just was like, okay, fine, I've done it now, you know, like I've lost my virginity now, like God is mad at me, is clearly he is nothing for me to do again, you know, God is gonna just be mad at me, so if I have sex again, it's not gonna matter. Okay. But yeah, that's kind of the idea that I had, and I just felt like it was just all at a loss for me, so I just didn't even care. Like, I didn't care about, you know, giving myself to somebody that I was married to, or, you know, it's just a lot of different things that I had been feeling. So anyway, I ended up looking for love in all the wrong places, dealing with, you know, different guys here and there, and eventually by the time I got to high school, I actually started to really experiment with dating women. For me, I felt like I had always had this feeling, like even when I can remember being in kindergarten and feeling like I was attracted to women, you know. So for me at that time, I didn't realize what it was, but for me at that time, it was always some type of attraction for women. I didn't realize later that those feelings that I was feeling of like attraction was more so because I wanted that feminine motherly figure that I didn't have at home. So I would be, you know, attracted to teachers, and I would have crushes on my sister's friends. Like, I mean, like, this is the stuff that I went to, but like I said, I just didn't know what it was exactly at first. So I ended up experimenting with females, started getting into that, and then at first I was dealing with male and female, so I would what you consider yourself as a bisexual. But then somewhere along the line, I started to really have a disgusting taste for men. Like, I just was always getting hurt by guys, and it just really wasn't really good for me, and I just started to really hate men. And after I got in my my first real relationship was with a female. We were together for 7 years. I did speak about this one time before my get to know me video, I believe. This probably was one of the most toxic relationships that I was ever in. Like, oh my gosh. Like, so when we got together, I was 15 and she was, I think, 18. I think maybe she just graduated high school or something, or she was about to graduate high school, and then, you know, she would be out of school the next year. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, after we got together, like, she would say things like, oh, well, I only date girls that are like are lesbian, I don't like bisexuals. And so I feel like that along with the like just disgusting taste that I was having for men, that just made me proclaim myself as a lesbian. She had told me things like she didn't want to see herself with a girl who was still in, like, oh, I'm out of high school. I can't even remember. She would say things to me like, oh, I'm out of high school. What do I look like dropping off my high school girlfriend? Like, da-da-da-da. So she didn't want, like, she would say things that led me to believe that she didn't want to be with a high schooler or whatever. And I ended up dropping out of school because of that. Not solely because of that. I did have my own issues. Like I said, I was going through a rebellious phase, so there was a lot of things that I had been doing. Like, I ended up getting expelled from school. I ended up having to go to like alternative school. Like, again, another story within itself. But yeah, and I ended up falling behind in high school. So for me, it would kind of, I always thought that I was going to be like one of the first ones in my family to get a high school diploma. Like, none of my other family members had actually gotten their high school diploma and graduated high school. They'd all dropped out, and I thought that I was going to be the first. Like, that was my mission, you know, like I wanted to make sure that I would be one of the first ones. And that clearly just went out the window. Like, that just went out the window. It was just like, it was just not good. And I didn't realize it at the time, because all of this was happening in the beginning of our relationship, and I didn't realize it at the time that she would, like, that she was just very controlling and just very like manipulative, and probably even a narcissist. Like, I didn't realize that I was dealing with all of those things until we moved in together. I had already had this rebellious phase, so not only was I going through different things at school, also was going through different things at home too. I got to a place at about 16, I was like, I didn't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be at home. I want to be emancipated. I want to do whatever I want to do. Like, I just don't want to live under my mom anymore. Yeah, it was just, yeah, I was going through a lot, guys. I really have been through a lot. Yeah, after I dropped out of high school, my mom just letting me go because of the issues that we were having, and I ended up moving into an apartment with her, my girlfriend at the time. I would say that's when I really fully learned the person that I had been dating. And I can remember this one incident where I don't know what happened. I don't know if we got into a fight or what happened. I can't even remember, but all I remember about it is that she would get so upset, or she got so upset about something. I think I said that I think we had gotten into a fight, and I said that I was gonna leave her, and she got so upset that she started flipping out, and she was just acting crazy. She was like kicking holes in the wall and like just doing crazy stuff, y'all, just doing all kind of crazy stuff. That was one of the first experience that I had. And then, you know, from those like little outbursts of anger, then it slowly started graduating to like actual like slapping or like hitting me. Me personally, guys, I'm not a fighter. I will say that I'm not a fighter at all. Now, don't get me wrong, if I have to fight for my life, yes, I will fight. But for me to be like, oh, I got a problem with you, and yeah, so now I want to fight you, like, I'm not that type of person. So also for me, I'm definitely not the type of person that wants to fight people that I love. Like, I barely have any fights with any of my cousins or anything like that. I can literally count on my hand how many times I fought with like cousins or family members or like anything like that, because I'm just not that type of person. I will leave you alone before I have to fight you, right? So it just never was a thing for me, because in my eyes, I loved her. I loved her, and I couldn't see myself hurting her in that way. Even though she was hurting me in that way, I didn't see myself doing that back to her. So fighting back never occurred to me. Like, that was not something that I was just like, and it wasn't like a situation where she would be like, oh, you know, beating me up, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would just be like a quick slap. Then it would immediately be like, oh, I'm sorry. Or, you know, it just, I don't know. I can't even really explain it, but if you've ever been in like an abusive relationship, then you kind of know how that goes, and you know that it's not like, sometimes it doesn't register to you like, oh, this person is really abusing me. I would say that, yeah, when I was 19, we had been living together already for a few years. We had already been in a relationship for a few years. And at this point, this is when we were trying to like, okay, we've stuck it out these 3 years, you know, like, let's have a baby, let's do it, you know. And yeah, that's kind of the place where we were at. So we were trying to have a baby, and that's when I found out that I had PCOS, because I went to the doctor for like a prenatal visit to like say, hey, we want to have kids, you know, what are our options, all of these different things. And when you go for prenatal visit, usually they will like run whatever test it is that they have, you know, put you on like prenatals and all this stuff. And yeah, then I was diagnosed with PCOS. I feel like after that, things really started to kind of like go downhill. Somehow or another, she talked me into dancing. I'm not gonna cry. I haven't actually had to think about me in that space for a long time, so just thinking about it now is like, wow, like I really was out here dancing in the club like 18, I think it was. I started dancing, I can't even remember, but whew, yeah. And honestly, being in club life, like, you see so much, like you just see so much that you maybe have never been exposed to, or never maybe would have been exposed to. And I feel like dealing with that, yeah, I saw a lot of things, and I don't know, of course that took me closer away, because on the one hand, it's like I felt ashamed, but on the other hand, it was like, I gotta do what I gotta do. Like, that's just what my thought process was. I want to say before I started dancing, I think, that we actually had a time when we lived in Charlotte. I was going to school, and even after everything that we had been through, like, I still was just like so stuck on her that I didn't even want to stay in Charlotte to go to school anymore. And because, long story short, something happened where we had to move out of our apartment in Charlotte, and she was gonna leave, but I would have had a place to stay because I was going to school there and I had family there and stuff like that. So my family was like, yeah, well, you can stay, she can't. So I tried it, and I just could not do it. And it was just something that was just like, look, I just want to be with her, like. And it was just so crazy because, yeah, that's pretty much what I was doing, like. Also within that relationship is when I kind of really started like going hard with the modeling. And with me starting modeling, I kind of developed this persona of Domino J. Like, if you really have been following me for a long time, then you know Domino J. Like, Domino J was the persona that I created that was for my modeling. So I would model as Domino J, right? And Domino J was my safe space, you know. Like, Domino J really was the girl. Like, she was that girl. Like, she gave me so much confidence. Like, she just was a baby. Like, I mean, yeah. And I just like really started to become a different person. Like, I really started to become this Domino J character, like, from here. And I feel like for me, I just kind of was putting aside the real me, if that makes sense. Basically, I think the last straw, because I feel like what ended up happening is she probably started getting jealous of what was, you know, the attention that I was getting, or whatever the case may be. I don't know. But anyways, the last straw for that relationship it was like, we were at a party, an event that I was I think I might have been invited to or something like that. I'm not sure how we started arguing in the club. It could have been somebody looked at me wrong, or maybe she thought I was flirting with somebody. Like, it was just so many, it was always something, right? She was a really heavy drinker, so she probably just was drunk, and that was it. So we I don't know what happened. Something happened in the club. Maybe she was acting out or something, and I was just like, you know what, I'm not dealing with this. I'm about to go home. Mind you, we're at a club that's literally down the street from me, so I started to like walk. I was like, yeah, I'm about to walk home. I don't even care. Like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not dealing with your BS tonight. No. So as I'm walking, of course she's following me. She's following me. She's yelling things at me from behind. I'm just really ignoring her at this point, because usually I would just I would, you know, argue back or whatever, but at this point, like, I'm seriously done already in my mind. I'm ignoring her. We're walking, she's walking behind me, and then out of nowhere I felt a hit. Like, I felt her hit me. And what ended up happening, she ended up punching me like from the back. Like, she ended up swinging from the back, and she hit me so hard that it chipped my tooth, y'all. It chipped my tooth. I'd never, you know, she never punched me before. Like, yeah, you know, she might have hit me in the face, or she might have hit me or whatever, but she had never punched me before. And I've never had it to where it took something from me, like, okay, chipped my tooth, or she drew blood, or anything like that. So once I saw that to me was like, okay, now you gotta fight back. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, I just blanked out, and I know that we were fighting. I know I was swinging on her. I know that we were fighting, and when I came back to, I just remember being at a gas station, and the police were pulling me off of her, asking me, you know, what happened, yada yada yada. You know, after telling them what happened, they wanted to know if I wanted to press charges on her or whatever. I think my mom or my sister had came to pick me up from the gas station. I can't even remember. All I know is I completely lost it, and yeah, I was fighting back, and that was it for me. I was just like, yeah, this is it. We ain't doing this no more. And I fought back. And then after that, I just was so done with that relationship. Like, it was so toxic. Like, along with the abuse and, you know, everything else, there was, like, she was cheating. I mean, don't get me wrong, I had cheated on her. Like, it was just such a toxic relationship that it was just horrible. Yeah, after that, we just decided to call it quits. I think we remained friends after that, but yeah, it just kind of just never really worked out again. And quite frankly, around that time that I had kind of been getting fed up, I had started feeling attracted to men again. So honestly, I had already been done with that relationship. Like, girl, I don't even want to be with a female anymore. Like, really, I'm ready to be with a man. Like, I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, like, I was just so ready to be with a man, and I was just like, I'm already done with this relationship mentally. So yeah, after that, I felt like God kind of began pulling and tugging on my heart a little bit then. I just felt a strong urge to get back to Christ. Like, I just felt like, okay, I had let this go on long enough, you know, dealing with different people, now dealing with women, doing this and doing that. Like, I was just like, you know, I can't do this no more.